The story of murals is the story of humankind. Life on this earth has been captured on cave walls, ancient dwellings, and urban structures since prehistoric times. From ancient caves in France and Indonesia to the urban walls of American cities, murals tell the story of struggle, success, remembrance, and sorrow. In 1984, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a shift occurred, and these exquisite expressions of humanity were organized, celebrated, and protected, making Philadelphia and its Mural Arts Program the mural capital of the world. We sat down with Chad Eric Smith and Medina Oyefusi from the Mural Arts Program and discussed these murals and how the program began.
So the biggest thing I wanted to...
Are we both good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you? Did they switch them on? Okay. So we're live. Okay. So if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is
You don't need that.
Okay.
She's
Sorry.
got
my name is Medina Oyefusi. I am the Programmatic and Public Events Manager for Mural Arts Philadelphia.
Fantastic.
And I am Chad Eric Smith, and I'm the Senior Director of Communications and Brand Management.
Well, thank you for having us here today. We're really excited to talk to you about the Mural Arts Program in Philadelphia. It's such an exciting program and highly unique, a program that's influenced other cities in their Mural Arts programs.
Yep.
Is it true that the Mural Arts Program we see today started as a city effort in 1984 to clean up and work with graffiti around the city?
Yeah, absolutely. Wilson Goode, Philadelphia's first Black mayor, he ran on a campaign, and one of his number one campaign promises was to help clean up the graffiti all around the city. I mean, it was really bad. People were putting graffiti on people's cars, on people's houses and churches. And so the fact that that was a big platform running issue for him was is interesting in and of itself. And then when he became mayor, I think one of his first appointments was led by Tim Spencer. And he's passed away, I think back in the 90s, he's passed away. But he was from the Mature area of Philadelphia, and he led it. And then they brought in Jane. But yeah, it started off as kind of part of the city, and then got merged with like the Department of Recreation, and then eventually a 501c3 was created in order to help with the fundraising of more unrestricted funding. So we're part city, part nonprofit, which is an interesting model that other cities are looking to as ways to kind of beautify their space.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So how was the city and the state government involved in bringing the Mural Arts Program to be?
So basically, from my knowledge, once the Mural Arts Program was created, it kind of was like they were figuring it out as they go, because this was unlike any other program that they had really seen. And the idea was, one, cleaning up the city, but then also having an outlet for these graffiti artists as well. Like, they would be tagging things, and some of them were creating art in and of itself, but it wasn't seen that way. It was considered vandalism and everything. So Jane and her team would go around and they would actually work with the graffiti artists and say, hey, like, work with us on this mural and beautifying the space and cleaning up these walls. And they just kind of figured out how to implement kind of like social work along the way. Like, what is the root cause of people tagging? Like, what is this outlet that they're looking for? Are they looking to just be known? Are they looking to be heard? And a lot of times that was it. They just wanted people to see them and recognize them. And they got opportunities out of that through Jane and her team by being able to create beautiful projects at the end of the work that they were doing.
So in those early days, and even fast forwarding to today, how was this project received by the residents of the city neighborhoods?
I would say positively. I think there are some people who are like graffiti enthusiasts, right? Who understand that it's one of the four pillars of hip hop culture. You got graffiti, you got breakdancing, you got emceeing, and you have DJing, right? And so from that lens, the idea of something being anti-graffiti feels like it's anti-culture, right? Mm-hmm. But I think we've tried to do a paradigm shift to make people think about it differently, that there's a difference between like letter bending and the art of letter bending and the graffiti style, and vandalism or, artwork that is not, approved, But generally speaking, I mean, for Philadelphia to become the mural capital of the world, with nearly 4,000 works of public art, and then all of the social impact that we do, I think is viewed very positively. It's a very strong brand, and that's how we've been able to navigate like 6 mayors over the course of the last 4 years. 40 years.
I think a lot of the reception also came from the graffiti artists that got involved with the program as well. So like Cornbread, who's like the godfather of graffiti, he met Jane, he knew Jane, and last year I got to hear him speak about his experience around the anti-graffiti network and how he had left Philadelphia. You know, he started as a tagger and, you know, he had left to go to a different school, high school, came back and like just saw how his city was riddled with graffiti to the point where it was unrecognizable, and heard about this program, was like, okay, you know, I'm still a graffiti artist, I'm still a tagger, but like something has to be done about what's happening to our city. And that's when he met Jane and he got involved with the program. And I think someone like him, who was well respected in that realm, getting involved and being an advocate for the program definitely helped the city's reception to it as well, especially from other graffiti artists.
Can you talk a little bit about the inspiration that the artists have, their creativity process? One thing that stuck out as we walked around through the murals is the diversity of the murals, lifestyle, food, homelessness, city challenges, sport. What is that process in your interaction with artists that are putting murals on the buildings or on the structures? What is that process? How does that work?
Well, first I'll say that we have several programmatic departments whose focus are some of the things you just listed. So we have a restorative justice department, right, in which we, within that, have something called the Guild, in which we work with justice impacted individuals, teaching them hard skills and soft skills, and by using art to combat recidivism. We have an art education program that focuses on young people across the city. We have a program called Porch Light, which is in partnership with the City of Philadelphia's Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disability Services. And within that program, we have an initiative called Color Me Back, in which we have a same day, same pay program where folks who are housing insecure or are dealing with some sort of mental health challenge or chemical dependency can get the dignity of a job, get paid, and beautify an area all in the same day. And so the artwork often is guided by the program area that it's part of. And then part of our mission is to use participatory public art to beautify, inspire, and empower, right? So that means that oftentimes we have workshops with the communities and they help inform the design through discussion, through activities. And so that's also what makes our work unique. You know, there are other cities who have murals around their cities, but they're commissioning artists to just do what they want, which has its value and it's pretty cool. And we've been trying to do some of that as well, with like a small walls initiative we've done in this past fiscal year. But I would say, generally speaking, our bread and butter and why people find it beloved and nostalgic is that they might have gone through a program, through like the Guild, or gone through our education program, or they might have gone to a paint day. And so they ride around the city and they're not just seeing landmarks that they remember, but perhaps landmarks that they actually helped paint. And so the artists have to understand, who work with us more times than not, that there has to be a design review process, and that oftentimes the design is shaped by the opinions of the community with which the artwork is going, but also it could be shaped by partners and or funders as well. So it's kind of very much sometimes a political process, but ultimately I think it makes for thoughtful art.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like Chad and Jane a lot of times says like the murals are the product of the work, right? So it's like these are the end result after, like he said, all the programming is done, a lot of social work, a lot of workshops, sometimes panels, like sometimes, especially with Porch Light, they're having people come and talk to people about their issues and what they need, and like, what do you want to see on the wall that represents what you're feeling inside, So like the work is just, what you're seeing the community wanted, basically.
Wow. And then when you select the artist to do a mural, how do you come to that decision?
A lot of times we put out calls for artists. I mean, we have an artist relations director whose job is to do that, to be in communication and liaison with artists and provide opportunities as they arise. We do, put out RFPs and people can, propose ideas they have artistically. Sometimes an artist is tapped, like selected because of a certain style or sensibility they have for being the right pick. And then once a person gets their foot in the door, Medina can speak on this as well, they're in, and sometimes that's really helpful if like a person who does a great job, is easy to work with.
The work is beautiful.
The work is beautiful, then they become repeat artists that we tend to kind of go back to and say, we think you'd be good for this particular project or this project. And so a lot of artists have worked with Mural Arts for decades because of that relationship.
And the work that they'll do varies. So like there is some times where our partners or funders, they already have an artist in mind, but the scale of the work is something that artist has never done. So we might tap an artist that we've worked with before that can do that scale to like be that assisting artist to that mural and such. But like that happens not as often. A lot of times, we do go through the regular process, but sometimes there are artists that, an organization that we're working with, we're like, no, we have this person. Please find a way to vet this person. We want this person, and we got to do it. That's what they want. So.
Now, as you've been interacting with visitors of the murals and you've been talking to people who visit Philadelphia in general, are there murals that have emerged as the most popular murals?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely ones that we view as iconic. Dr. J mural is a very popular one. Meg Salomon. And the cool thing about the Dr. J mural is that it's the very first mural that was done using the parachute cloth method, which a lot of people don't even know that that's the case. And that's part of what makes it participatory, is that you can take this parachute cloth material into a church, into a school, into a park, into a prison, and then folks can paint by number. And then you put it up on the wall like wallpaper and then paint over it and prime it, and then it fuses to the surface in such a way that it looks like it was painted there, which is, I think, really cool. But Dr. J was the first mural to do that. Meg Salomon's, what's the name of that mural?
I'm not sure, but it's right there. It's huge.
Yeah, I know, right?
I know, but that was one of the
called
first
Common
ones.
Threads.
Common Threads.
Common Threads.
Yes.
That's a great one.
And that was one of the first ones from the Anti-Graffiti Network, correct? Right, yeah.
Untitled by Amy Sherald is a great one, which is this, young girl, with a blue backdrop and kind of this black and white style look. And Amy Sherald, also did Michelle Obama's portrait, and so that's a really popular one. There's so many to pick from. And then there's newer ones that I think are becoming...
is becoming a popular one because of its vibrancy.
Yeah, there's one that was done by artist Roberto Lugo that features Black Thought, Tariq Trotter of The Roots, who's also a board member for Mural Arts. He met Jane Golden when he was like 12 years old. And so that's a really popular one. But yes, it's a lot of good ones.
How has the Mural Arts Program impacted the inhabitants of the neighborhoods that they live in?
I think it brings pride. It brings beauty, and beauty in that environment you live tends to increase morale. Our brand statement is that Mural Arts Philadelphia exists to provide transformative experiences, progressive discourse, and economic stimulus to the city of Philadelphia through participatory public art that beautifies, advocacy that inspires, and educational programming and employment opportunities that empower. And so out of that came our slogan, beautify, inspire, empower. And I think those three words really encapsulates how people feel about the work we do.
How do you tell that story to the world?
Why we keep doing it, honestly, and also through the programs and events that we have too. So it's like I said, leading up to a mural, we might have workshops or panels so people can come and understand what we're doing, why we're doing, who's the artist, what's their story, and why it connects with the work that they're about to put up on the wall. And also having community engagement forums too, where we get to have feedback from the community, especially with our art ed department. I think they engage the children so well that almost every mural that ends up in a school or on a playground, the kids are so connected to it because they had that paint day experience. Some of their work, sometimes we have the kids create their own pictures and the artist recreates that in the mural so they can look at it and say, hey, that's that bird that I drew. And I think that inspiration portion is like the key to keeping mural arts going, is we keep inspiring new people, new artists, new community development organizations that want mural arts to be a part of changing their community and beautifying it so that they can empower people later. Like that inspiration piece is key to what keeps mural arts going, I think.
And I'll just add that storytelling is a part of it, right? Like storytelling is within the artwork itself, the stories behind the artwork, the stories on the credit panels, there's stories about how the project came to be. But as a communications team, our job is to be able to distill it and make it even more compelling, shaping the narrative in a way. And so we do that in various ways. Our social media is quite dynamic. Our social media marketing manager, Darnell Schoolfield, and our digital content creator and strategist, Dominique Smack, create these great videos that we use that are engaging for social media for folks to meet the artist, to learn about the artwork, to see where it is. Because not all of our fans live here. There's folks who are fans of ours all around the world. And so we want to make sure that we can bring the artwork to them and emphasize,
see the process too,
and see the process, see behind them, pulling the curtain back. We do like newsletters and e-blasts and events, that are meant to engage the community. And we've even had some really exciting kind of national attention. I mean, last year in March, we were on an episode of Abbott Elementary, or at least there were actors who played Mural Arts staff as part of a plot. And the episode was called Mural Arts, and it was really cool. I got to help with the script, consultation, and that Emmy Award, Golden Globe winning show that was seen by millions. And so our brand continues to grow and grow. I mean, when I started, our Instagram following was like 82,000 followers, and now we're past 102,000 followers in just a couple of years, So I think the dynamism and how we tell the stories about our work is just as important as the work itself.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about children, and it was a theme that we saw as we walked through the murals. What do you hope is the legacy for Mural Arts, and what do you want the children to get out of the murals in the city of Philadelphia?
I think for Philadelphia-specific children, I would hope that being a part of Mural Arts and seeing the work that Mural Arts does makes them feel pride in their community, one, but then also inspires them to find some type of creative outlet. Sometimes working on a paint day might spark something in a child that later on they want to be an artist. Like Black Thought, he remembers being a part of Mural Arts at 12 years old and meeting Jane Golden as a little boy and how that influenced him at that time and how wonderful it is. And so I think for me personally, that's what I want the children to get out of it. And even just seeing people that they recognize on these walls, people that they see are their heroes. The other day at a tabling event, a little girl came up to me and she said, "You did a mural on my pop-pop." And I was like, "Your pop-pop?" She's like, "Yeah, my granddad." He was like, "There's a mural." And I was like, "Oh, did you get to work on it?" She was like, "Yeah, he died, but I really like that mural." And I was like, "Well, that's really nice." She was like, "I'm gonna tell my grandma that I saw y'all. Do you guys have a summer program?" I said, "Yes, we do." And I gave her the information. I said, "Tell your grandmother to sign you up." That's what I hope to see in the children here.
Yeah. It's amazing.
What's the 40th anniversary Roots and Reimagination celebration all about? Seems very exciting.
Yeah, well, as we said, 1984 was when the Philadelphia Anti-Graffiti Network was created, and we view those years as formative and the foundation of what would grow and evolve into being the Mural Arts Program everyone knows today. And so this year we're celebrating 40 years of impact. And the theme Roots and Reimagination has been kind of a storytelling anchor that we've used throughout the year. We had a press conference back in February, and Cornbread was there, and Mayor Wilson Good, and Jane Golden spoke, and Meg Solomon, and it was like all these folks on the past. And so we've been having a lot of stories in a lot of our print and digital materials about the past and reflecting on 40 years of impact. But also the reimagination portion of the theme is an invitation for people to think about and reimagine what the future of the convergence of public art and civic engagement can be. And so, every year we have a different theme. Last year it was the power of commitment. The year before that was a universe of possibilities. And so it's a strategy that we use as a communications team to try to help create some organizing principles for how we tell the stories we're going to tell. And so this month, the month of October rather, is Mural Arts Month. And we usually kind of explore the theme of the year kind of in full steam during that month. And so on September 17th, we have a press conference that's going to be at Love Park. And it would be the kickoff of Mural Arts Month to share with the media and with our partners and our fans and the residents of Philadelphia all the things we have in store from that moment all the way to the end of October. And it's basically in celebration of Mural Arts' mission and in celebration of its theme. And this year's theme is Roots and Reimagination.
Do you view the Mural Arts Program in Philadelphia as a blueprint for mural programs all over the country and perhaps internationally as well?
Absolutely. I think even with 40 years, obviously, we still have growth, you know what I mean? We were kind of like the first of its kind, like Chad said, in terms of blending government with like public art. So we still have a lot to learn from new programs that are coming up that might have started differently or whatever. But one thing that our Mural Arts Institute does really well is connect with programs and people outside of the city of Philadelphia, across the country, sometimes overseas, and do kind of like an information exchange. Like, how are you doing public art? Is it in reflection to what we're doing? Can we learn from you? Can you learn from us? And I would say one of our programs specifically, the Color Me Back program, the Same Day Pay program, is something that a lot of cities want to reintroduce to their public art work. So Austin specifically, we went down there for South by Southwest. They heard of our story, they heard of our program, and now they're working with our institute to kind of recreate that Color Me Back program down there. So I think, yeah, a lot of people look at us as the blueprint because we've been around for so long, and some of them, it's the blueprint for what they don't want to do, you know, and that's okay too. But I think overall, Mural Arts has made a standard and set a tone for public art across the country.
The influential artists, you have to come in contact with very unique stories that touch you. If you could share something with the listeners about the artists themselves that has really touched you during this process.
So many artists. I mean, I can speak just generally that I'm an artist too, but I'm a performing artist. You know, I'm an actor, a filmmaker, and a musician. And so I understand kind of the desires of an artist and the sensibilities of an artist. And I think that is part of what I think makes my work impactful as a communications director, because to me, you know, my degree is in psychology, but I'm a storyteller, right? And to me, that's what communications is. It's understanding what resonates with people and why, and then shaping a compelling narrative. And that's what the comms team tries to do. And so for me, I just feel synergy and feel like I'm really understand and get the artists, even though the artists work in different kind of mediums than I do. And I would say that they're all very passionate individuals who care about the world. They understand that their artwork is a means to an end. It's not just about self-expression, but it's also about fostering empathy and to be able to tap into intellectually and spiritually into people's understandings of themselves and of the world. And so I think they get what they want the rest of the world to understand quicker, which is that art is way more powerful than often meets the eye, that there's much more nuances and complexities associated with the creation of artwork and its ability to create change. And this is why we say art ignites change, because we really do think that it's a more powerful tool than governments and states and institutions and organizations give it credit for. But once they realize that, then you'll notice that all of a sudden they want a creative person at the table to make policy and to think about how to make change because they didn't think about it before, because before they didn't have an artist in the room. So I think artists understand that we understand the value of art to a very serious extent. And we still have a way to go to improve upon systems and equity and all kinds of things of that matter. But everything is a evolution and it's all about change. So that's my kind of feeling about how artists. I think there's going to be various artists who love our work. There's some artists who may prefer a more solo route as opposed to having to engage in community engagement and participatory process that could feel bureaucratic and political, but there's just different options and different strokes for different folks.
And I think like depending on where they're working and maybe what program they're working on, sometimes that also inspires and influences the artists to sometimes even want to change the design. Because, you come in to the process, they're telling you, hey, we need to design a mural about this, and then they design it. And then you go and you meet the people that you're working with and putting it up on the walls, and you realize it's about their story too, and you want to find a way to show that in the work that you're doing. And I think King Saladin is a really good example of that. He's from Philadelphia. He's made a name of himself as an artist.
You just did a mural called Brotherly Love.
Yes, he just did a mural called Brotherly Love with us, with our restorative justice department, and him going and meeting these formerly incarcerated people and learning about their stories. And they're the people in his studio working with him. And he's just like, no, we got to highlight them. Like that was a big part of when the mural was done and we were dedicating it and trying to figure out what the event looks like to celebrate like this prodigal son of Philly coming back and doing his first big mural. And he was just like, yeah, like that's a story, but like I want to tell the story of the people I worked with because they're the ones that made this experience for me like something that was life-changing, and I want to come back and I want to work with these people. And I think that is also something that I see as like influential artists that might have been doing this for decades coming and working with us and then feeling changed and wanting to do more work that has to do with the community and involving more people around them.
Our listeners are going to want to learn more about this inspiring story in Philadelphia. Where can they find you? Where can they learn more about Mural Arts Philadelphia? How do they interact?
Well, they are speaking, or listening rather, to the right people. Because as the communications team, we know exactly the answer. So certainly muralarts.org is a great place to learn about our organization, our history, to go on a tour, buy some tickets on a tour, which you all just, did you enjoy the tour?
We loved the tour.
It was incredible. It was amazing. She did an amazing job. And just, it's like I said when we were coming in, what a great way to explore the city. As we're sitting here, my wife spent a few years living in Philadelphia, and we have a 3-year-old who would absolutely love to walk around the city and look at these murals. In rather short order, we'll be back. Probably
absolutely.
Purchase some tickets.
And you know what I love about that is it really just amplifies the accessibility of the artwork, right? There's folks out there who believe that kind of the most serious, legitimate art is the art that exists behind the walls of a museum, where you have to pay some sort of big amount, you have to have a monocle go, But to be able to walk around the city and see beautiful artwork, we call Philadelphia the world's largest outdoor art gallery. And so I would just recommend people to come to Philadelphia, for one, to see the murals for themselves, to read the credit panels and learn about it. But muralarts.org, follow us on social media, on Instagram at Mural Arts, and the same for Twitter, or X, I guess is what they call it now. We're also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We have TikTok. We're trying to make sure we're playing hip. We're on LinkedIn. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, none of that can do justice for actually being here.
Yes, absolutely.
So, our hopes are, we have a couple of hopes here for the podcast with you folks from Mural Arts. And that's, one, bring people into the city, not just 4 or 5 hours away, but even beyond. But also, as we all live in cities and walk around and we walk right past things, I'm sure there's a lot of Philadelphians that walk right past the murals every day and really don't know anything about them. So my as we were walking around the city, I was thinking, wow, hopefully we can connect with some Philadelphians to stop for a moment, take a mindful moment and look and explore what's right in their own backyard that truly is amazing.
I mean, you come across a lot driving, but when you walk, it does slow down the world a bit, and you can kind of just be mindful and can read and learn more about it. So I'm glad you said that. And look, for any of the listeners out there who may have deep pockets, I think I just want to be very frank and say that, this artwork, they don't paint themselves, right? Like, we're a nonprofit. We're the largest one of our kind in the country, but that is through a lot of grit and tenacity and kind of hard work, and also with the help of city funding. But we're always looking for folks who believe in our mission and want to help. So whether it's being a volunteer, whether that's coming on a tour, whether that's buying merchandise, or whether that's donating so that they can help us with our mission. Because I think from this interview and just from what they will learn if they go to our website or social media or come to the city itself, the work that we do is more than the paint on the wall. It's really, really impactful.
I can't think of a more intimate way to explore the city and to understand the art and to learn a little bit more about the community that people live in and celebrate.
I agree.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
If I could do the Mary Poppins thing and jump into a mural, I would pick this one absolutely. The combination of wonderful food and wine and people you like is, I think, one of the best things you can do while you're alive.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Passport, Pennsylvania. Learn more about Mural Arts Philadelphia and how to become a volunteer or to donate at muralarts.org. If you like this episode, please consider subscribing to Passport Pennsylvania. Leave us a 5-star rating and recommend us to friends and family. For a written account and to see photos of the walking tour, visit passportpodcast.com. The interview in this episode was conducted by Travis Breen and Jason Krasinski. This episode was produced by Passport Podcasts, LLC. Follow us on social media at Passport Pennsylvania.